My name is Mark Reynolds. I'm 63 years old. I'm sitting alone at my kitchen table, and I've been thinking about how much of my life I spent doing what was expected instead of what felt true, and how quiet the cost of that has been. I'm not telling this because I think it makes me interesting. I'm telling it because I don't have much time left to pretend I don't know what happened. The house is quiet now. It's always quiet now. I used to think quiet meant peace. These days, it mostly means absence. I wake up early, even though I don't need to anymore. My body never learned how to sleep in. Years of alarms trained it better than I ever trained myself to listen to anything else. I drink it standing up, staring out the window like I'm waiting for something to arrive. Nothing ever does. Some mornings, I catch my reflection in the microwave door or the dark glass of the window, and I'm surprised by the man looking back at me. He looks older than I feel. But then again, maybe I feel younger than I deserve. I didn't set out to waste my life. That's important to say. I wasn't reckless. I wasn't lazy. I wasn't cruel. I did what made sense at the time. I did what everyone around me said was responsible. I went to work. I paid my bills. I showed up. And somehow, that became the whole story. When I was younger, I believed time was generous. I didn't think about it in those words, but that's how I lived. I assumed there would always be another year. Another chance. Another version of myself who would finally get around to the things I kept postponing. I didn't feel like I was choosing against anything. I thought I was just choosing later. I grew up in a house where expectations were clear and never questioned. My father worked. My mother kept things together. They didn't talk about dreams. They talked about obligations. I was good at school, not exceptional, but steady. Teachers liked me because I didn't cause trouble. Adults said things like, "He's reliable," and "He'll go far." I liked hearing that. It felt like approval, and I learned early that approval was a kind of safety. In my 20s, I got a job in an office. Nothing glamorous. Paperwork. Meetings. Fluorescent lights that buzzed if you listened too closely. I told myself it was temporary. Just until I figured things out. Everyone else seemed to be doing the same thing, so it felt normal. We joked about hating Mondays. We talked about vacations we never quite took. I had other interests back then. Things I didn't talk about much. I liked to write. Not anything important. Just thoughts. Scenes. Memories. Little pieces of things that felt real to me. I'd stay up late sometimes, typing quietly so my roommates wouldn't hear. Those were the hours when I felt most like myself. But writing didn't pay rent. Writing didn't come with benefits. So I kept it separate. A private thing. something I told myself I'd return to when life settled down. Life never settled down. It just kept asking for more. I met my wife in my early 30s. She was practical, kind, and grounded. She liked that I was dependable. We built a life that looked good from the outside. A modest house. 2 kids. Weekend errands. Family dinners that followed a predictable rhythm. I loved them. I still do. But love, I learned too late, doesn't automatically make you present. I was there, but I wasn't always with them. My mind was usually somewhere else, thinking ahead to the next obligation. I missed things without realizing I was missing them. That's how it happens. I missed school plays because of deadlines. I missed long conversations because I was tired. I missed chances to ask questions because I assumed there would be time later. When my kids were small, they used to pull on my sleeve while I checked emails. "Just a minute," I'd say. I don't remember how many minutes that added up to. At work, I moved up slowly. More responsibility. More hours. More reasons to say no to things that didn't seem urgent. People respected me. That felt good. It felt like proof that I was doing something right. But respect is a strange substitute for fulfillment. It fills space without warming it. I didn't feel unhappy. That's the part that makes this hard to explain. I felt occupied, useful, necessary. Those feelings can carry you for decades. The cost didn't announce itself. It didn't crash through the door. It crept in quietly, disguised as routine. A birthday postponed. A conversation cut short. A notebook left untouched in a drawer. I remember once, my daughter asked me what I wanted to be when I was younger. I laughed and said something safe. Something vague. I didn't tell her the truth. Not because I was ashamed, but because it felt impractical to say out loud. Saying it would have made it real. And real things demand answers. My marriage changed without either of us noticing exactly when. We became efficient partners. Good at managing logistics. We talked about schedules more than feelings. We solved problems instead of sharing thoughts. By the time we realized something was missing, we didn't know how to name it. And if you can't name something, it's hard to save it. We didn't have a dramatic ending. No shouting. No slammed doors. Just a slow drifting apart until silence felt easier than trying to bridge the gap. When the kids left home, the house grew larger and emptier at the same time. Rooms lost their purpose. I told myself this was normal. That this was just what life looked like at this stage. I kept working longer than I needed to. I didn't know what else to do with myself. Retirement came quietly. A few handshakes. A cake in the break room. A card signed by people I wouldn't see again. The next morning, I woke up with nowhere to go. No one needed anything from me. That's when the silence started to feel heavy. I tried filling my days. Chores. News. Long walks with no destination. But without the structure of obligation, the questions I'd avoided for years finally caught up to me. What did I actually want? Who was I when no one was watching? Those questions are easier to ask when you're young, when answers still have room to change. In your 60s, they feel like inventory. A tally of what's left and what's gone. The turning point came with a phone call. They usually do. An old friend from my 20s had died. A heart attack. Sudden. We hadn't spoken in years. Life got busy. We meant to catch up. I went to the funeral and saw people who remembered a version of me I barely recognized. They talked about who we were back then. What we used to talk about. What we thought we'd become. Driving home, something inside me finally cracked. Not loudly. Just enough to let the truth seep in. I realized I had spent my life preparing to live instead of actually living. I had treated my own desires like indulgences. Things to earn. Things to postpone. And now, so many of the conditions I was waiting for were never going to arrive. My wife got sick not long after that. It wasn't sudden. It was the kind of illness that gives you time to adjust and just enough hope to stay in denial. I tried to be there for her. I really did. But there were things we never said. Apologies that felt too late. Truths that felt too heavy. She passed away on a quiet afternoon. I held her hand and thought about all the conversations we have replaced with logistics. Grief is strange. It doesn't always look like crying. Sometimes it looks like sitting in a chair for hours, replaying moments you didn't know were final when they happened. After she was gone, the house felt like a museum of unfinished sentences. That's when regret stopped being abstract. It became specific. Personal. Unavoidable. I couldn't fix things. I couldn't make up for time. I couldn't go back and choose differently. That's the part no one likes to talk about. Some things are final. You don't get to rewrite every chapter. Some pages stay exactly as they are. I found my old notebooks one afternoon while cleaning out a closet. Pages yellowed. Words written by a man who still believed there was plenty of time. Reading them felt like meeting someone I had abandoned. I didn't feel inspired. I felt grief. Not just for what I lost, but for who I never allowed myself to be. I'm not angry at my younger self. He did the best he knew how. He wanted to be responsible. He wanted to be good. He just didn't understand that goodness without honesty eventually becomes a kind of quiet betrayal. These days, My world is smaller. My body doesn't move the way it used to. My energy comes in short bursts. I write again, sometimes. Not because I think it will lead anywhere, but because it feels like telling the truth at last. I don't know who will hear this. Maybe no one. That's okay. If you're listening, I want you to know I'm not offering advice. I don't believe in telling people what they should do. I can only tell you what I wish I had understood sooner. Time doesn't announce when it's running out. It just quietly removes options. Doing what's expected can look a lot like doing what's right. Sometimes they overlap. Sometimes they don't. The difference becomes clearer with age. By then, clarity doesn't always help. If something matters to you, it probably won't stop mattering just because you ignore it. It will wait. Patiently. And one day, it may be all you can think about. I thought I was being practical. I thought I was being patient. I didn't realize I was teaching myself not to listen. I don't have many years left. I feel that now, in my bones. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of having lived only halfway. So I tell the truth now, while I still can. Not to make peace with the past, but to finally acknowledge it. If this meant something to you, if it stirred something uncomfortable or familiar, you don't have to do anything with that feeling. Just don't dismiss it too quickly. That's all I wanted to say. I'm Mark Reynolds. I'm 63 years old. And this is the truth I waited too long to tell.